What is up, everybody? We are back live once again. We're going to break down the early Meatball draft that happened a couple weeks ago. I know a lot of other pods have already been kind of breaking them down and stuff, but we just haven't been able to get together and find time to do our own. So here we are. And honestly, I'm excited to talk about this, not only for to give my thoughts on things, but also to hear Ryan's thoughts on things because we haven't, outside of the 10 minutes leading up to the pod, we haven't really discussed the draft at all together. So, what's up, Ryan? How you doing, man?
What's going on? Doing well. Yeah, I'm excited to break down this draft. Like you said, it happened a couple weeks ago, and we haven't talked about it at all outside of 20, 30 minutes afterwards in the pod.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of funny just looking at the board and seeing how things go. It's something we were kind of talking about before too. Like, it's so weird drafting for the next season when there's still like a month and a half to go of the current season. So many things can change. Like a couple years ago, I took Dylan Cease at the end of the first round, and then we drafted at the beginning of August, and so it's 2 months ago, and he completely fell apart in August and September. So it looked like a terrible pick, obviously, because I don't know what his ADP ended up being, but it was something like third, fourth, fifth round, somewhere in there. Definitely not end of the first. So that can happen. And then there's some guys that get injured. I'm pretty sure Zach this past year took Brandon Woodruff, and he missed the whole season. So things it can get interesting, that's for sure. So let's get it. Let's start with your team here. You were picking out of the 12 hole. You started with Tariq Skubal. Is that somebody you were always thinking about going after, or did you have somebody else in mind? Because it's interesting to see J-Rod and Tatis go after him. Were you always planning on starting with Skubal?
I wasn't planning on it, but I kind of mapped out my top 30 or 40 arms before we did the draft. And I thought I have Skubal as like by far my number one pitcher. I was kind of surprised he fell to 12. I thought he would go like top 6 or 7, to be honest. So kind of just took it. I thought about Lindor, thought about Tatis, thought about Jordan. Just like, fuck it, I'll take Skubal.
So you like Skubal more than Skeens, then, huh?
Yeah, I do. Nothing against Skeens. Skeens is awesome. I guess it's more of just a preference thing. I think Skubal's the best pitcher in the league, and he's done it for a full year now. So
yeah, and he'll be yet again another year removed from the injury. So I got no problem with him and Skeens in the first round. I thought for sure those guys would go in the first round. Where they were going to go in the first round, I wasn't exactly sure. I kind of assumed that it was going to be a lot of hitters to start with. It's just who's gonna jump the gun. Like, Mookie Betts lasting till 10 was interesting. Acuna is interesting at 11. Coming off his injury, like, when will he be back? Do you have any idea when Acuna's be back? Is he gonna be back for opening day, I think?
I tried to look into it. I didn't see anything, but I don't know. I don't know how you feel. I wasn't gonna take Acuna. I kind of have to see in spring training that he's healthy and running. Just because even the year after he tore the other ACL, I think he tore. I don't think it was the same knee. I think it was his other knee. He wasn't that great, and he was hurt a little bit. Like he sat games randomly with knee soreness and stuff like that the year after he tore his ACL. So I wasn't even considering him in the first or second round. I don't know how you felt about him either. Not that he was never falling to your second pick, but
yeah,
if you had a pick down here, would you consider him?
I don't think so. I just, I don't like guys that are coming off an injury like that, and I think he did run right away when he came back, which I was kind of surprised about, but Yeah, I think I would go Scooble over him. I think I would take J Rod, Tatis, for sure over him, and then I don't know, maybe at the turn I would consider him, but yeah, I was happy that I didn't have to worry about that because I was drafting out of the 2 slot. But um, let's go to the second round here. You got Corey Seager. Um, Obviously, he's one of the best hitters in baseball. You're looking at 4 elite categories. Kind of ran into some injury issues again this year, which has kind of been a little bit of a concern over his career. But obviously, there's no doubting the talent when he plays. He's ridiculous. Obviously not going to get a whole lot of speed. So, was Seager always your guy right here?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have a lot of Seager while drafting at the back end. It's just people value stolen bases like heavy early in drafts. I think batting average is so important, especially with the way I draft. I tend to take more of the 240, 250 guys and not really care. Getting a guy like Seager who can hit 290, 300 and has 30, 35, 40 homer power. I'm taking him here all day. It was definitely a plan. I wanted to take like a stolen base guy with him in the first round because I wasn't expecting Scooble to fall to 12, but
Mhm.
you know what? It's only the second round. I don't really panic. Not having a stolen base guy after the first 2 rounds, you still have plenty of rounds to make up speed. So I thought that was an easy pick for me.
Yeah, especially in today's game, there's stolen bases all over the place. So it's you can easily make up for it, and you did in the next 3 rounds here. Uh, so O'Neal Cruz, this is your guy in the 3rd round here. I was I mean, I'm not surprised that you took him, but I was surprised that you took him here.
Mm-hmm.
Are you expecting another step? Because what he's done this year is not, if he does that again next year, I feel like he really isn't earning that 3rd round price tag. But he's obviously young enough. Are you expecting another step next year with him?
Yeah, I am. Remember he had the broken leg, so he didn't really play. What did he play, like 5 games last year or something? It might have been a little more than that, but he got injured very early in the year. He was horrendous in April, and pretty much since April, he's been a monster. It's kind of weird that he only hit 1 homer in August, but he has 19 home runs, but has 54 barrels. I just don't think that's something that's going to continue again. And the fact that he hits the ball so hard that it literally doesn't even matter that he strikes out a lot. He'll hit 250 to 270. But I fully expect 35 home runs next year if he plays a full season. I know it's a crazy jump from 19. I mean, there's still 3 weeks left. Maybe it's 2 or 3 more. I know it's a crazy jump, but he has so many barrels and hits the ball so hard. I don't know how he could possibly hit home runs in the 20s again playing a full season. And I got lucky because I took a shortstop in the 2nd round, and I took O'Neal Cruz because I was like, hey, you know what? I don't care taking another shortstop that early because I really like O'Neal Cruz. He's going to have outfield eligibility. So that's really huge, having shortstop outfield.
Yeah, that's a great point. My only concern is his ground ball rate is just extremely high again. So I think it's something to be a little concerned about. Like, can't hit home runs when they're on the ground, So, but again, he's still young enough where he can hopefully make that adjustment. Because if he does start hitting the ball in the air with how hard he hits it, I think 30 plus is a lock every single year, and you're looking at probably a 40 home run hitter.
And you know what's crazy too is that he's 25 years old, but he's only played a year and like a third of a season in the big leagues in total. So it's not like it feels like he's been in the big leagues for a while, but he hasn't. Only 220 career games because of that broken leg. So I think arrow pointing up. I think he's going to have maybe not a 30-30 season, but very close to it.
Jackson Merrill, you with another young guy here in the 4th round. We saw him obviously burst on the scene. He's been fantastic this year. Were you surprised to see him still there, or did you think maybe you could get him another round later? Like, where did you feel he would kind of fall in? Because obviously, you're looking at a 5 category player, or Jackson Merrill. At least what he's done this year. He's, again, so young. If he can just take another step forward, you could be looking at like a second round value, basically. But what were your thoughts here?
Yeah, he almost just looks like a young Freddie Freeman. I know it's crazy to say, being 21 years old, but the stolen bases are there, the power's there, and like you said, the batting. I mean, the batting average is crazy. In the second half of the season, he's hit 315, and it's not like anything unsustainable. He makes so much contact, and he's got legit power. So yeah, I definitely thought he was going to go earlier. I probably should have flip-flopped the O'Neill Cruz and Jackson Merrill picks. I should have taken Merrill in the third and O'Neill Cruz in the fourth. Not that it really matters, but not to crap on Jenny. James Wood could easily be better, but taking James Wood over Merrill seems insane to me. Just because Merrill did it, and James Wood I know he's had a pretty good month, but Merrill's had a full season of being really good. So I guess I was just expecting even Churio. I know Churio's a higher rated prospect, but I think Jackson Merrill's better. I kind of just thought he'd go earlier. I might be wrong.
Yeah, I like all three of those outfielders: Churio, Merrill, and Wood. I think Wood being at Washington is fantastic because we know that they like to steal bases. So I don't know how many bases Wood can steal next year if he plays 150 plus games, but I'd have to imagine it's going to be quite a bit.
It's crazy.
I mean, they turned Lane Thomas into a star for fantasy. It's pretty crazy. They just go. It's green light, which is just great for fantasy. It's exactly what you want your guys to do. But your fifth round pick is probably my favorite pick of yours in this entire the first 11 rounds here. Lou Bob, this guy, we've seen the talent. Obviously, being on the White Sox isn't the greatest situation. Who knows though? Maybe he gets dealt here in the offseason. But the power speed combo for Lou Bob here in the fifth round. If you look at some of the other guys in this round, like he's, in my opinion, he's the best hitter that went in this round. If he's as long as he stays healthy, but obviously that can be a little bit of a concern with him too. But to me, it's worth a shot here in the fifth round. So, what are your thoughts about Luis Robert?
Yeah, you're just getting a guy. It's going to be his age 27 season, so he's in the peak of his career. Don't look at his StatCast page if you draft him because the swing and miss is just out of control. It's just so much blue. And you're going to be like, oh, he sucks. But I don't know. He's going to play every day when he's healthy, of course, because, injuries have been an issue, like you said. But he's got 14 homers and 21 steals in half a season, pretty much. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's just fantasy gold mine. And he's never hit for a low average in any season of his career. Not that he's had a giant sample. He's only played three seasons worth of games through the 5 years that he's been in the big leagues. But he's got a 270 career average, so you hope that even if it goes down, maybe 250, like I don't think he's going to be a 220 hitter next year. He's just too talented. But yeah, I agree with you. I think this is my favorite pick so far. Yeah, again, it's just piling up homers and speed and having Merrill and Seager be my average anchors.
Yeah, like I said, I like this a lot. We know the tools are there with him. I wonder how, just the team being so bad, like I wonder how motivated he is, like to go to the park every day. Like all those White Sox players, like how the hell you get up and be excited to play baseball that day when you've won 30-some games? I mean, it's just got to be, can't wait for the season to get over type of mentality. That's at least that's what I would be thinking.
Especially in the middle of September. When you're 90 games, they're literally 90 games under 500. It's like,
yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know.
I would love to see the White Sox trade him, put him in a good lineup, and you're going to see that power, speed, and you're going to see the counting stats. Whether they trade him or not, I don't know. But I would
Yeah.
certainly love to see it. Round 6, you go with a workhorse here. This is a guy that I really like a lot, Logan Webb. I love this as SP2 in the 6th round. What are your thoughts on Logan Webb for the prospects of the 2025 season?
Yeah, another guy in his peak years, going to be 28 years old. Just gets a ton of ground balls, and he pitches a ton of innings. Um, it's a little bit concerning that he's gotten hit really hard this year, but I guess just the fact that everything's on the ground, it doesn't matter. The WHIP went up to 1.23, and his ERA was at a career worst 3.46. Career in the 4 full seasons that he's pitched. 3.46 is the worst ERA he's had. So great pitcher's park, and good defense behind him now with Matt Chapman, and a competent shortstop. I'm assuming in Fitzgerald. I don't know. He might be bad. I have no idea. But Matt Chapman will save you a lot of runs. Yeah, I don't know. He's just a good pitcher. And I think he's good to pair with Struble because Struble, while he stayed healthy all year, he's not like a Webb, a Nola, Framber, guys that have been healthy the last 3 or 4 years every season. So tried to pair him with like a more safer arm.
Yeah, I agree. His home runs, he's allowed sub 1 home run per 9 for basically every year of his career, outside of his rookie year of 39 innings. So this is a guy that I've always liked as as an SP2 or SP3. The swinging strike is down a little bit, and so are the Ks. I wonder if those can somehow come back. He'll be 28 next year, so that's right in your prime. It's a good spot to be in. And again, I totally agree with having Skubal already on the roster, getting that innings eater where you don't necessarily need a 200 strikeout guy because you're going to get so many strikeouts from Skubal. I like that. So round 7 was the, I don't want to say the most questionable pick, but for me, it was kind of surprising because I don't know when this guy would come off the board, but Brandon Woodruff from my Brewers, I'm hoping you're right and that he's going to be good again because that's my team. But what are your thoughts about Woodruff for 2025?
Yeah, I guess in hindsight, I took him too early. I was just thinking, again, we talked about this before the pod, but he's a 2nd or 3rd rounder when he's healthy. He said that he feels great. He was by the time we were about to draft, he said he was about to start throwing bullpens. So I'm like, okay, if he's throwing bullpens now, he's easily going to be healthy in time for spring training. And again, it could be bullshit when he says he feels great and then he gets hurt in February. But he's so talented. I feel like a 7th round. He's a second or 3rd round pitcher. So getting him in the 7th round, it's kind of just pray he's healthy. Am I going to have him on every team? No, but I think I'm going to have a healthy amount of Brandon Woodruff as long as he's healthy, through the off season while we're drafting DCs.
Yeah. Yep. I like that. Again, you have you got that workhorse in Logan Webb, and then we got a full season here of Skubal. So, Skubal can give another full season next year. Get the workhorse Brandon Webb. If you can just get 150 innings of elite ratios, some strikeouts, that'd be a nice pick right there. So your next pick is a guy that I can't figure out, Josh Naylor. So last year he hits 308 and only has 17 home runs, and then this year he's following the power stroke with 29 home runs, but the average is dipped, hitting 244. RBIs are always going to be there. 97 last year, 101 so far this year. What are we going to get here out of Josh Naylor next year? Can the power stay the same and the average come back? What are your thoughts here with Naylor for next year?
I don't know. I might be crazy. I just watch him hit. I think he's so good at baseball.
Mhm.
I love watching him. I love watching the Guardians play because him and J Ram are just so damn good. I don't know. I just think he's a really, really good player, and I thought he was going to be gone already. So I was kind of like, okay, I got my 3 arms, and now I'm just going to pound my plan was to after Woodruff, I'm going to take 3 bats and a closer, and ended up executing that. And I just thought Naylor in the 8th round was a smash for me. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
we talked about a lot of people have mentioned whether it's other podcasts. I think it got talked about in our live stream as well when we were doing the draft. But first base is um, not really that deep. Not as deep as you remember it from a few years ago. But first base is just kind of, I don't know. Like you look at like who went after Naylor. You got Tristan Casas, which I thought was a great pick. Um, I actually kind of forgot about him, but I did already have a first baseman. But that was a good pick. Then you got Spencer Steer, who actually did have another pretty good year this year. You got CES, who even before he got hurt was not very good this year. So he's obviously kind of a question mark. Um, and then I think that might have been it for first baseman that got drafted in this draft. So that to be able to get Naylor there, to me is a really good value.
yeah, I thought so. I think obviously it's an August draft, so it's not going to be reflective of ADP. But I think he'll be drafted earlier than that normally. And then the pick after that, I took Josh Jung, and again, it's probably another pick where I probably could have waited another round or two. But it's another player that's in that age 26 to 28 range that I've tried to draft more of, players in the peak of their career.
Mm-hmm.
And Jung, to me, is just, I think he's going to be a 30 homer, 260 average bat. And I know he kind of showed that this year. And I think he's been hot of late. He dealt with the wrist injury the whole year. And he's kind of just been battling injuries his whole career. You wouldn't It feels like he just got called up and he's going to be 27 years old already next year, just because it's been 3 years of injuries. But this year, like he got hit in the hand with a pitch. It's not like something that I expect to be, lingering moving forward. But I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think I could have reached a round or two, but I think he's going to be one of the best third basemen in baseball next year. Definitely going to have a lot of young Jung.
Yeah, I'll love it if he stays at this price. Ninth round's a great price. I think he was going sixth, seventh round.
No, so you
Did a
don't.
lot of drafts.
So you don't think I reached that bet?
No, I don't. I don't think at all. The guys that get hurt, especially like you said, it was like he got hit by a pitch. It wasn't like a repeat soft tissue injury or something.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he fell more like I think I'm pretty sure he's going like sixth, seventh round in a lot of drafts last year. Like the
Somewhere
fact that he
around there,
just
yeah.
yeah, the fact that he just kind of fell for really no reason because he got hit by a pitch. Like it's not like his skills fell off or anything like that. I think that's a great time to scoop him up. Yeah, and then you closed off with obviously Clay Holmes. We'll see. I think is he a free agent next year?
He is a free agent.
Okay,
I kind
so
of
he's
I
got
kind of just thought wherever he goes, he's going to close. I might be wrong. It's just so weird. I know he's got a ton of blown saves, even though last year the leader in blown saves was Emmanuel Clase. This year he's unbelievable. Not
mhm.
that Clay Holmes is Emmanuel Clase level good, but Holmes limits home runs. He has like the best ground ball rate I've ever seen. He's got like ground ball rates in almost the 70s, like 66% ground ball rate. I don't know how this guy gives up runs. He doesn't walk batters. He strikes guys out. And 67% of the people that make contact hit ground balls. Like, how does he have 9 blown saves, something like that? I have no
Yeah,
idea. And he's been a closer for 3 years. He's 32 years old. I think wherever he goes next year, he's going to close. Could I be wrong? Sure. I might look like an idiot with this pick, but I just think he's too good, and I don't know what the hell's happened over the last couple of months where his ERA has skyrocketed.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. His swinging strike's pretty good. He does have a 347 BABIP, which is pretty high. His left on base percent has been pretty lucky. Um, but yeah, it's been pretty crazy to see. I don't know. We'll see.
Like,
We can't judge that pick really until we see where he lands. Because if he
yeah.
lands somewhere and he's a closer, he could be getting a 30 save guy right there in the 10th round. But um, we'll see. Especially, a lot of the closers also were already off the board. So, you got David Bednar that went after him, who's had his issues this year, and then Kenley Jansen, who is also going to be a free agent next year, went at the end of the 11th round. So that's it. Like the closers have really dried up here. But yeah, so you finished your 11th round pick was Josh Lowe. We saw some injury issues again with him, but when he's healthy, the power speed combo is fantastic with him. Any concern that he might just be a platoon guy at all with Tampa?
Yeah, it's a bit of a concern. He probably will be a platoon guy, but I mean, a 20-30 bat's a 20-30 bat. So I don't know. I just think in the 11th round, I don't think you can beat that. Yeah, it's not optimal for runs scored and RBIs, but the homers and steals are still going to be there, even if it's a platoon bat.
Yeah. Yep. No, I agree. So yeah, you finished your 11 rounds with 3 starting pitchers, a potential closer, and then a lot of hitting stats. So I think you're set up well for when we resume this, whenever we decide to do that. But what are your is there anything you would change? Like, is there a guy that slipped through the cracks? Like, oh, I forgot about that guy, or maybe change your mind on something since we did this a couple weeks ago. But is there anything like that in your draft?
I probably would pay for closer and a catcher. I think getting a closer and a catcher, especially in DCs, are so important. Especially in a DC this early, having a guy that 100% is going to close is so valuable because everyone's going to be speccing for saves later, opposed to, and you're in, obviously it's an overall contest, and you're going up against people that draft in February and March who will have much better, like a much higher percentage of speccing hitting on it because what teams guys are on and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So the less speculative for closers you have to do, the better drafting this early. So I wish I took maybe Josh Hader over O'Neill Cruz. Maybe he did I don't know. I don't like Alexis Diaz. I'm trying to go through the closers here. I guess they're all taken really early. I guess so. There's really no mid-round closers.
Yeah, they were flying off. That's for sure.
I guess that's why I didn't draft one.
Yeah, it's always funny to me, like when the first DCs come on, or the first ADP, or maybe people see this board and they're always like, closers are going too high, and it's like in an overall competition with no pickups, like you have to address the category. So if everybody else is taking them early, you have to as well. You can't be like, oh, I'll just wait on it and attack it later. And obviously you can get lucky with some things, like what if you got Yates and Kyle Finnegan this year? Like,
yeah,
okay, well, it's worked out okay, but that doesn't always happen. So yeah, I'm always a fan of getting a closer early and in DCs, and that is actually what I did with mine. So I picked from the 2 spot. I figured Shohei Ohtani was going to go off the board at 1 to Steve Weimer, so I was pretty locked in with Bobby Witt Jr. I think those are the clear top 2. If he was going to go Witt, I was going to go Ohtani. So yeah, I don't think there's really anything else that needs to be said about Bobby Witt Jr. I mean, the guy's ridiculous. 5 categories, his insane average, which is great. You'd mentioned, getting Corey Seager for the average, and so it's great to get a batting average guy out of the way and an elite stolen base guy that doesn't hurt you in power, which is something, as you know, that I always like to draft. I like to draft those stolen base guys early that are good players that don't hurt you in the power categories. So I don't think there's anything else really to say about Bobby Witt Jr. 5 category stud. You should go top. I don't think you should go any lower than 3. Maybe Judge has an argument in there, but I don't think you should go any lower than 3. So
yeah, I'd say Bobby Witt and Ohtani would have to easily be the top 2.
Yeah, for sure. So my plan going in was, knowing I was going to get that power speed combo bat in the first, I was going to pound pitching. We joke about it on the live stream call while we're doing the draft, and in the Twitter group chat, that I'm not going to hit my innings limit, which I'm not going to. But it's not because I didn't draft starting pitchers. I had 2 pitchers get Tommy John before the season started. I had Julio Urias have his issues, off the field issues, so he's been done all year. And then he had Darvish, Musgrove. I'm trying to think who else. Clark Schmidt. I mean, it was just one after another. Injured.
It's insane.
So, yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? So but regardless of that, the way I like to draft, especially in DCs, is if I get that early pick, I like to get that 5 category bat, and then I pound pitching, because I feel like I need to catch up in pitching. I don't want to fall too far behind, and I got that elite bat, so I can always fall back on that, and I always feel like I can dress hitting in the middle rounds. So I went with George Kirby. I know I was essentially fading George Kirby this year at this exact price. But I just feel like get that anchor. I still don't believe that he's going to be an elite strikeout guy, but I just felt like I needed that anchor. I need to get a lot of innings, and I love the whip. And as you know, I'm a whip guy, so I love the whip draft, low whip pitchers. So he was kind of I don't want to say an easy pick for me, but he was probably my front runner to go right there with him.
So I thought it was kind of funny. I know we're skipping ahead a little bit, but you are you're just not really on Kirby and Framber, and you ended up taking both of them. I know you kind of touched on it already, but your entire idea after taking Witt was really to just build an innings base of guys that you knew that have shown that they're reliable on for innings.
Yeah. I wanted a lot of innings out of my starting pitchers with the next few picks. So right after Kirby, I took Devin Williams, who I think is going to be an elite closer. Steve Weimer took Clase. I was actually considering him as well. I actually was probably going to take Clase, but he took him. So I went Devin Williams, who I think is going to be fantastic next year. He's back from his injury. It looks fantastic. So sign me up there. But yeah.
If Williams and Clase were both off the board, would you have taken another starter?
Yeah, I think I probably would have went Logan Gilbert and just went both Seattle pitchers. I don't think that their trouble they've had with wins this year, I don't think that is going to happen again next year. But
yeah,
it could. Who knows? But yeah, I would have went with both Seattle pitchers there then.
Okay, so it's just that Clase and Williams are your top 2.
Yeah, they're my top 2. Obviously, I love Hader as well. Maybe I would have considered Hader there, but I don't know. I just kind of feel like I would have went with Gilbert in that moment, just thinking back to my process, what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
And then if I did do that, then I don't know. I probably would have had to address the closer at some point. I don't know. I might even be in your situation, because if you look at how the draft progressed, Robert Suarez was gone, Mason Miller, Duran, Helsley, Iglesias, Hader, Bautista, Edwin Diaz, all those closers were gone before my 4th round pick. So I think I might have been behind the 8 ball, because I can't think of another closer I would have pushed up. I wouldn't have taken Alexis Diaz that early. So I don't know. I might have been behind the 8 ball. So I'm glad I was able to get Devin Williams. that's
Yeah,
what I'm getting at.
No, for sure. I love the pick. I totally agree with you on Devin Williams. What people don't realize is that when you're in a draft with all like experienced NFBC players, they all know what it's like to because when you just first join the NFBC or any like it doesn't have to be NFBC, any very competitive fantasy baseball league. When something is in high demand, it gets pushed up. So
Yeah.
relievers get pushed up like crazy. And if you're just going to be the guy that's like, I don't care about relievers, I'll fade it because you haven't played in NFBC leagues or competitive leagues before, you're just going to get trounced because specking, like you might spec saves and hit on it 1 year or one draft. And then the next draft, you have 11 saves because you're just faded guys and, specking saves in August is just crazy. So, I guess just to my point, when you look at a board and you see all these saves go so high, there's a reason for it. And that's just, again, that's what happens when you have a bunch of experienced NFBC players.
Yeah. And the other thing is when you're drafting on the end, like you're going to miss out on a run. 15-team league, you don't want to miss out on a run. You want to be at the start of a run, not at the end of it. Right. So Steve started it, right? He took Class A. So I'm like, all right. We all know how good Steve is, right? So everybody in the draft room is going to pick after me other than Steve. They're going to have 2 picks before my next pick. So I'm like, all right, Steve is going to start this closer run. I got to get in on it as well because they're going to go. And that's exactly what happened. So I went, took Williams and then, so Framber. So I've never been a big Framber guy because the walks have always been an issue. Last year, he was great in the first half, and he was, I think he really fell off in the second half. So I was taking my L at the midway point, and then at the second half of the season last year, I was like, see, I knew it. I knew I should be never Framber. Now, fast forward to this year, here I am taking him. He's shown, this has been his best season so far. He's got a sub-3 ERA. His whip is 1.09, and that's coming off a 1.13 and a 1.16. So I think we can put the whip questions to bed now. He's pitching for a good team. He's obviously going to give you a lot of innings, and his walks have been under control. He's been sub-3 walks per 9, 2 years in a row now. His BABIP is low, but if you look at his whole career, his BABIP has always been kind of low. So it's not abnormal to have like a 275 BABIP right now. Last year 282, year before 285, year before that 268. So his BABIP has always been low, even being a heavy ground ball pitcher. Swinging strike is up. He's not a huge strikeout per 9 guy. Neither is Kirby, but I think we were talking about it beforehand. Like the volume that those guys give you, they're going to keep you competitive in strikeouts. So the only other guy I was considering there was Pablo Lopez, and I was hoping, but I should have known better, that Steve was going to take him. But I was hoping for Pablo Lopez in my next pick, but he went right away, of course, to Steve. And then I came back with Aaron Nola, and that's another thing we were talking about beforehand. Aaron Nola. So last year he was going in, I believe, like the 4th round, or I should say this season. He was going in the 4th round, and that was coming off a bad year when everybody was all fired up about him.
He was going in like the 2nd round the year before that.
Yeah. So now he's having a good year this year, and now he's like slipping around. Like, so I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to jump in on Aaron Nola here in the 5th round. So I've got Kirby, Framber, and Aaron Nola, 3 guys that I think are going to provide a shit ton of innings. They all pitch for good teams. I think Kirby and Gilbert are going to be much better in wins next year. I just think they have to be. Like, they can't be this unlucky 2 years in a row.
No.
And then obviously you got Framber with Houston, Nola with Philadelphia. Both those teams are going to win a ton of games. So yeah, I love this start. This is basically how I want to start all my drafts. If I'm picking from the front, I love going heavy starting pitching. And getting one elite closer to go with a 5 category bat. So, what do you think about that?
So yeah, no, I like the start, especially because, like you said, with Witt, you get so many home runs and stolen bases. You can afford to take 5 straight arms, and like you said, you all know what you're getting from them. They don't have to be like this flashy. Oh, well, their swinging strike rate's this, and their FIP is that. It's like these guys go 6 innings. Like, yeah, they might have a lot of 6 innings, 3 runs, 6 innings, 4 runs outings, but they take care of the bad teams and they give you a ton of innings. And a K per inning is still good. It doesn't like you don't have to. Not every single pitcher you have has to strike out 250 batters, 220 batters, whatever. So I
Yeah.
like that start a lot. And the most talented pitcher of the group is probably the guy you took in the 6th round, Michael King.
Yeah. So I was not planning on Michael King here. The first five rounds are pretty much exactly what I was looking to do. Maybe not necessarily the exact players, but the exact structure. And then, yeah, 6th round, I wasn't really 100% sure what to do here. I really considered a catcher, but Will Smith and Real Muto have kind of just taken a step back. I thought maybe I could get somebody later. So I was like, I'm not really sure what to do here. And I was like, you know what? I have this strong pitching start as far as ratios. But I would like to get some more strikeouts. And Michael King was there. And I just took him, like there's other guys around there that I did kind of like can Randy or Arozarena bounce back? I think he can, but I don't know. He's kind of having a down year. Like I said, Will Smith, JT Realmuto, the catchers. So I'm looking at the hitters that kind of went, and I don't know. I just think they all have some kind of an issue. I love Vinny, but I've always questioned the power in that park. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't have any strong feeling on any hitters there, so I just hammered another pitcher with Michael King. Yeah, and then Steve took Sonny Gray and Robbie Ray on the wrap. So I don't know if Steve would have taken Michael King or not, but I was happy to see him take 2 pitchers because once I took Michael King, I knew I was done with pitchers then. So at that point, I just want to see everybody take pitchers, leave me some hitting. So I did. That's what happened. I hammered hitting after that. Christian Walker, he's always been my guy, but I'm going to be back in again. I just think he's a 260, 30 plus home run bat, 100 plus RBIs, and I needed that. He's my second hitter. I think Arizona's going to be just as talented next year as they were this year, maybe even better. Corbin Carroll can, figure out his issues. So I don't know. What do you think about Christian Walker?
Oh, he's definitely a stud. You can't argue that. The power's there every single season. What worried me a bit is that he's going to be 34 next year, and the swing and miss is a little high. But I mean, he's so good. I would be surprised if it all fell apart next year. And he actually just hit 2 home runs tonight, so he's got 26 homers in 114 games. Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with Christian Walker in the 7th round.
7th round,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a 30 homer bat with a good batting average. I mean, how much different is he than Pete Alonso?
Yeah, exactly. Like this is why I've always kind of faded those power hitting Matt Olson and the guys that don't hit for a great average but have a lot of power with no speed in the early rounds. Because you can get a guy like Christian Walker, you can get a guy like my 9th round guy who I love, and I hope he stays at this price. But we'll get to him in a second. Round 8, I went Riley Green. This is the pick. I'm like, I have no idea where Riley Green is going to go, but I love this guy because he's going to hit in a prime spot in the lineup. And I still feel like he can hit 300 with like 25 home runs and 15 stolen bases. And if he does that and he's hitting in a prime spot in the lineup, he's going to have a ton of counting stats. So I'm still a believer in Riley Green. I know he kind of had some injury issues this year and hasn't really performed like I had hoped, but what do you think about Riley Green?
Yeah, Green's such a stud, and what's crazy is he's been in the league for so long. He's only going to be 24 next year. That's going to be his 4th season, but he's improved each year. The power's gone up both seasons. The strikeout rates come down. both seasons. His walk rate improved from his rookie year. I don't know how much the speed is going to be there. He oddly only attempted 5 steals. Maybe that was an injury thing. I don't know if he was. Yeah, he had a hamstring injury. So maybe. But
Yeah, we'll see.
even though it was later in the year. Yeah, I don't know. Even if he's not a stolen base guy, even if it's only 5 to 10, I still think you can get a good batting average with 30 homers. And it's just a sexy pick. Like you kind of just had. Well, Michael King was a sexy pick too, but you kind of just had guys that you know what you're getting from them. So I feel like you mixed in a nice sexy pick there with Riley Green.
Yeah,
Maybe he goes nuts and it's a 3rd or 4th rounder next year.
yeah, it's been pretty boring so far. The guy I was actually hoping for, and he almost made it to me, was Brian Reynolds. I thought Brian Reynolds going to Dan Kenyon in the 8th round there, 4 picks before mine. I love that pick. I thought that was a great pick. I kind of view Riley Green very similar to Brian Reynolds. Like they're not going to be a 40 home run bat, but they're just going to be rock solid in a prime spot in the lineup. It's kind of all I'm looking for after I go so heavy with pitching. But my round, my 9th round guy. So I was all over this guy this year, and of course he missed a month. But I just love Jake Berger. I mean, the guy just hits tanks. He's going to be eligible at 1st and 3rd, which is really nice.
It was looking rough this year for a while, and then
Yeah.
he just went buck wild after the All-Star break. Holy shit!
I think I'd have to go back and look. I can't remember exactly off my top of my head, but I think he had a really good first month, and then he had an oblique injury. I think it was an oblique. So yeah, that kind of threw things off a little bit, but yeah, the main concern I have here with him is the fact that he's probably going to stay in Miami. I think his contract is like very, very Miami-ish. So I think he's probably going to stay there. I think that's why they didn't trade him this past year, or this year, I should say. So, but I think he's a 35 home run bat easy. So he's going to hit in a prime spot in the lineup, even though the lineup isn't great. I think he's, I don't know. I think he can hit 260 with 35 home runs and 100 RBIs. I think that's well within possibilities for him.
Yeah, if he does that, it's a monster pick in the 9th round.
So my 10th round pick, this is the pick I regret. I took a shot on Christian Yelich. I don't know. If he comes back and he's fine, this is probably the steal of the draft. But at the same time, it could be a 0. We don't know how he's going to come back off this back surgery. Back surgery is not something I usually want to mess with. If I could go back and take this pick back, I would take Wyatt Langford in a second. That's Steve scooped up. But I don't know. What do you think about Yelich?
He's going to be on my do not draft list probably, just because he's entering his early 30s, and he's had back issues for a while. And the fact that he gets this major surgery just really concerns me. Again, it's kind of just like, style of drafting. Yeah, I know I drafted Woodruff, but like Woodruff is going into the offseason healthy. Again, I'm not saying like if Yelich is fine, then it's a great pick. I'm not saying it's a bad pick, but it's just not something I would do just because I'm not sure how Yelich is going to like recover, when he's going to come back. Actually, he didn't even get surgery yet, right? He decided not to, or did he?
Oh no, I thought he did.
Oh, he did. Okay.
He did not.
I was just no. You might be right. I was just making sure. I wasn't 100% sure if he got surgery, but yeah, I think he did. Regardless, just not something I would do. But again, if he is fine next year, it's easily the steal of the draft.
So
he got 5 rounds after Brenton Doyle.
August 16th. He had a herniated disc, so he got surgery on August 16th. He's expected to need 3 months of recovery and should be fully healthy to start of spring training. So we'll see. He was having a fucking huge year this year too, again. So
No.
I don't know. if if this issue is it's I don't think it's ever going to be a thing of the past. Like it's probably always going to be an issue, but if you can just I don't know power through it. But anyways, that's all optimistic thinking. And then round 11, I honestly didn't know where I was going to go with this pick. I would have taken Langford if he lasted one more pick, but Ian Happ, I don't know. It's a boring pick, but again, he's hitting in a usually a prime spot in the Cubs lineup, and I think he just can provide some power and speed. I don't know what you're going to get for an average, but I feel like I have a decent average to this point. I don't know. Again, it's a super boring pick, but round 11 for Ian Happ, I'll take it.
It's a boring pick, but it's kind of what you have to do in DCs. And I know that Ian Happ's played 1, 2, 3, 4. This is his fifth full season in the big leagues. I still don't feel like he's had that like peak year where he just goes nuts for a full season.
Mm-hmm.
His barrel rate went up a decent amount this year. He actually had 43 barrels. And his strikeout rate always like goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. He's a very streaky hitter. I don't know. I feel like he can put together for a full season and just go like nuts and hit, I don't know, 33 homers with 17 steals and score 100 runs. I think that's like in the range of outcomes. Maybe it never happens for his career, but I don't know. When you look back at a guy's career, right, and they're like a good player, they always have that like outlier season. And I feel like he hasn't had that yet.
Yeah, no, that's true. If you look at what he's done, we got like 3 weeks to go here in the season. He's got 23 home runs, 11 stolen bases, 81 RBIs, 80 runs. So I don't know. Can he be is he gonna? Can he? What is this? Is that like 90 RBIs, 90 runs, 25 home runs, and 12, 13 steals? Like, I'll take that in round 11. Like that's
he doesn't even have to have that career year. So it's like, I guess my point was, I've been confusing where I was going with that, but it's kind of like he gives you both sides. Like he has the upside to do more, and he also has the floor. I mean, it's for 2 years now, he's done basically the same thing, and he's just a rock solid player. I think that was one of the better picks in the draft, to be honest. I'll have a ton of Ian Happ if he's going in the 11th round.
Yeah, it's all about the price for me with that. That's I'll take that. One thing I really do regret though is not getting a starting like a good catcher. I usually want to have at least one good catcher by this point, but as far as who it would have been, I definitely considered who was it that I was looking at? Cal Raleigh. I was definitely considering him, but that average still worries me. Obviously, the power is fantastic, but the batting average still worries me. Francisco Alvarez in the 10th round, I felt like that was a good pick. I would have considered him in the 9th. I definitely would have taken him in the 10th if he lasted. But all the catchers were kind of gone. Tyler Stevenson is gone before my 10th round pick. I don't know. Again, Will Smith and Real Muto haven't been great. Sal Perez has had a great season. He went in the middle of the 6th round, so I would have had to have taken him at the 5th round over Nola. I probably wouldn't do that. So I don't know. I wouldn't have taken Adley. I know that Adley went in the beginning of the 5th round. I don't know. Yiner. I was definitely considering Yiner in the 5th, but I don't know. It just didn't. Again, it's one of those things when you do this draft, you don't know where a lot of these guys are going to go. So when we do have ADP in the middle of draft season, I can form a plan about where I'm actually going to address catcher, what pocket of the draft I like. A lot of times I like to take a catcher when I don't like a lot of other things that are going around there. That's when I'll jump on a catcher. But
yeah,
I don't know. I like basically all my picks, so we'll see.
No, I thought you drafted well. I think the balance of like going all arms and then all bats is kind of funny to look at. But I think you balanced it well, and it's something that for people that aren't familiar with how you draft, you seem like you're comfortable with doing that because I actually see you do it not often, but often enough where like you're comfortable taking 5 straight arms early.
As long as I get speed with my first pick, I'm okay to do this. If I let's say I had Judge, I couldn't do this because I don't think you can catch up in speed if you wait till the 7th round for your second bat. You have like 6 stolen bases to that point. So yeah, as long as I'm able to get a lot of speed with that first pick, like if I take Ellie, there's a good chance that I do something like this. Because I feel like I can always catch up in the power categories. Because again, Christian Walker, I think he's a 30 plus home run guy. Jake Berger, I think he's 35 plus. Like you can get those power guys in these middle rounds, in my opinion. It's just a lot of times it's the speed. So I don't know. I'm happy with it, but again, I'm a little bit nervous at what I'm going to do with catcher. One thing I don't want to do is when we start back up, I don't want to jump guys just to take catchers. Like I don't want to jump a catcher just so I can have a catcher. Like then again, if I just continue to push it and push it and push it, I'm going to end up with, some real bad catchers, and I don't want that. So
yeah, no, I think the 2 picks, if I could redo the draft, I think I should have taken Hader in the 3rd and Yainer Diaz in the 5th, hoping that Robert would come to me in the 6th. If I did that, I feel a lot better with my team, having a closer, having 3 arms.
Yeah, then you could take somebody over Clay Holmes then.
Yeah,
if you had a closer.
And even if you take out O'Neill Cruz and Robert, I still have Merrill, and I can draft, 2 speed guys in those other 2 picks. But yeah, it's a balancing game. It's what makes it so difficult. 15-teamer drafting with a bunch of people that know what they're doing. So I don't know. We always have fun doing this draft. I always have a good time. But it's funny to look back because even though we did this draft 2 or 3 weeks ago, you're like, oh, I should have done this differently. Because like you said, so much changes in the time, and we're not in mid-season drafting form. Like if this, right. December and January in DC is when you've drafted so many times already.
Yeah,
exactly who you want, and
yeah, the pockets to take guys. You need to get a closer here, else you're going to miss out on the run. You need a catcher here, you're going to miss out on the run.
There's no ADP.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's why like being on the end, I wanted to be at the beginning of that closer run because I knew we've done this a couple of years now. Like I know that closer run is coming, so I want to get it out of the way. I get a 5 category bat, I get an ace, I get a closer, and now I can just take what comes to me. I feel like I'm not chasing, but yeah, it was definitely fun. So shout out to Rob for putting this on, and Ryan Roof for providing the stickers, so we're able to provide this visual on the stream. So any other final thoughts? Let me ask you quick. DeGrom, what did you think about DeGrom in the middle of the 3rd?
I wasn't surprised. I thought he would go that high. And it could end up being the best pick, or it could end up being the worst pick. It's DeGrom, if he's healthy, he's the best pitcher maybe ever. So, it's a risk worth taking for sure. I don't think it was a bad pick at all. It would just be, I don't know, in an overall contest, I'll probably have some DeGrom, just to mix it in, just so you have in case, he throws 120 innings, 150 innings.
Yeah.
And just has insane ratios with a lot of Ks. I think, you think he goes around there in ADP?
Yeah, I do. I actually really liked Rob's draft a lot. I love those, like, for going Ellie and Bryce from the 7, like that's so many offensive stats, and then being able to get DeGrom, Joe Ryan, Flaherty, and Hunter Green as your 4 starting pitchers, I think that's fantastic. He's got a good catcher. It's his guy, O'Hoppe. We know he likes him. And then the first 7 are fantastic, and then you can, there'll probably be a lot of different opinions from his 8 through 11 picks with Tovar, Luis Garcia, Vientos, and Pete Crow Armstrong. But obviously, we know all 4 of those guys have some tremendous upside. So I like this draft a lot.
Yeah, I love the PCA pick too. He's going to be a monster. I'm trying to look at any other picks that surprised me. I think as well as he's doing this year, I was surprised Jarren Duran went in the 2nd round. I think that's what you were talking about earlier when some guy goes like, what was Durant going around pick 200? Maybe a little
Um,
before that.
yeah, like what I was talking about before we recorded, when I was like
Yeah.
always nervous about how a guy jumps from like the current season that we're in, because I'm still, that's my mindset still, the current season, like the current season's draft season. So yeah, if the guy was like way down and all of a sudden he jumps up, the thing for Durant with me though is this is 2 good years in a row now. So um,
Oh
I
yeah, I
actually
don't.
I think I actually like that. I like that pick quite a bit. A lot of
Yeah,
speed, good average now.
yeah, I don't even think it's a bad pick. I just think it's like it takes a while for me to process. Like, wait, Jaron Durant's a second rounder. Then you like look at like you said, what he's done the last a year and a half now. I mean, he went 8-24 with 295 average last year, and that was in half a season. Full season, 21-32 with a 290 average, and he has a boatload of extra base hits, boatload of runs scored.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, how could you? He's like an MVP candidate. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's he's been awesome. Yeah, no, like what I like Jackson Churio going from so low in the drafts to up high, and Jackson Merrill going from low in drafts like up high. I'm fine with those because those guys are like elite prospects, so it's kind of like we expected them to do that. But
Yeah.
um, there's some guys like Brenton Doyle, for example, went in the middle of the 6th round. It's something I probably wouldn't do because he's obviously elite defensively, but he was terrible. He's a terrible hitter last year. He's been great this year, so I don't know. Maybe this continues again next year, and if it does, that's pick's going to be well worth it. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not sure if I can fully buy in. I know I had some Gladiator shares of Brenton Doyle. I took him in the last round just because I knew he was going to play because he's so good defensively. So Gladiators, you kind of just want to get that volume. Obviously, that's worked out terrific because he's been so good this year. But am I willing to pay that price? I'm not quite sure. Junior Caminero is kind of another one. I know he's a huge prospect. We just haven't seen it. It's tough for me to take something that I haven't seen. So I'll probably have a share or two, but I don't know if he continues at the 7th round price. I'm probably not going to have a whole lot just because, again, I like to see it before I spend draft capital on him.
Yeah, there's no doubt Caminero is going to be an absolute beast of a player. It's crazy. He's like a full year younger than Jackson Merrill and Churio. They actually might be the same age as Churio. These kids are just so young. I guess it's tough for me when Caminero is going to be like not a zero in steals, but he's probably going to only steal like 4 or 5 bases. And I guess it's harder for me to buy in to a guy that young that hasn't done it yet at the big league level and also doesn't steal bases. I don't know if I'm going to have any Caminero, but there's no doubt that he's like freak talent. I know people probably hate the bat speed metric, but he's basically like 99th percentile bat speed, and he's 21 years old. Like the kid's an absolute freak.
Yeah,
Um,
no doubt about
it's
that.
it's just a matter of like, does he hit 270 with 25 homers next year? I don't know. He might.
What if this quad issue is like a reoccurring thing? Didn't he injure the same quad twice this year?
Yeah, he had a bunch of lower body injuries this year. He got hurt like 3 different times. I don't know if it was the same quad, same leg, same injury. I don't know, but I know that he had. I think it was 3 lower body injuries. He was on the IL a bunch.
Yeah, that's just a little bit concerning for me. I always get worried about those soft tissue injuries that are reoccurring, like injured it once,
Especially
then you injure
being
the same thing.
especially being that young. Happens he was like
Yeah,
21 years old.
yeah. Matt McLean going in the 7th round seems like a really good value. Again, we kind of talked a little bit about it earlier with I can't remember who it was, but Josh Jung, where he's going a couple rounds later for really no reason other than being hurt. McLean's a little bit different though because it's the same oblique, isn't it? Of like I don't know. He'd heard it last year, and then he'd heard it in spring training, and I don't know. It's a lost year for him, basically, this year.
Yeah, I actually liked the pick. I was thinking about McLean.
Yeah, I like it
Um,
too.
but yeah, I mean, it's definitely a bit risky because he's not gonna. I think his rehab got pushed back again, so he's probably not gonna play this year. And I mean, I think he's had 3 different injuries because he got injured early in spring training, if you remember, and they said he was going to be fine. And then he
Yeah,
just all of a sudden had shoulder surgery that wasn't even related to the first injury he had.
yeah. The first injury was an oblique, and that's what he
Yeah.
had hurt last year. And it's like, wait, he still has the same oblique issue. Yeah, and then the shoulder. So
And then his rehab got pushed back, and I don't think it was shoulder related.
yeah,
It's just he
crazy.
might be made of glass, and if that's the case, then yikes.
It's
But
it's gonna be tough this winter while I'm in my 10th DC trying to figure out if I should take him or not. I don't know. We didn't see him this year. And you just don't know. Like you don't know until spring training really hits, and then it's like, okay, now he's playing, he looks fine. Okay, now I can push him up. I'm not sure I'm gonna have any shares because I mean I was burnt by him bad this year, so I don't know. I don't know.
yeah,
It'd be
it's
interesting.
totally different drafting now opposed to February or March because if you see him healthy in spring training, okay, I can take him now. But drafting now, and that's even like my Woodruff pick, maybe I should wait until he actually fucking pitches in spring training. But of course, then I mean that's the risk you run, right?
Hmm.
Would you rather take a 7th round Woodruff not knowing, or once he's healthy, he gets pushed up to the 4th?
Right.
So it's like, and same thing with McLean. He'll probably go around the 5th to 7th round, regardless of if he plays or not. But it's a discount because of the injury.
Yeah. One position I'll say right now that I don't want to be behind on is second base. I thought it's not good. I don't think second base is a good position. I think it's pretty shallow. I don't have a second base, don't have a second baseman, and that is a little bit nerve wracking. I did. Altuve was a guy I was considering in the 5th, but I've always loved Altuve, and he's having another good year this year. But at some point, he's gonna fall off. I think he's 30. Is he 34 this year? I think he's gonna be 35 next year.
He's
We're getting
35 or 36. Yeah, he's getting up there.
yeah, he's getting up there. So it's again, he's been really good. Ozzy Albies was another guy I was considering. I thought that was a good pick in the fifth round, but I had already made my mind about taking Nola, so I missed out on a lot of these second basemen, Albies, Altuve. But yeah, I mean, if you go down, I was praying to get Marcus Semien in the 10th, and he's 2 picks away from me. I know he's had a down year, but he plays every day. He's going to hit lead off for Texas. I don't know. 10th round, I was ready to take a shot for sure on him there.
Yeah, that's
But other than that,
pretty damn late.
yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a position that I don't want to fall behind on too often here.
No, it's very bad. We're gonna be fighting for the same positions when the draft.
Yeah, that's right. You don't have a second base either.
Catchers and second baseman.
Yeah, it's ugly, but it's all right. What are you gonna do? It's first draft of the year. I don't know when we're gonna start this back up. I'd assume when NFBC opens back up. Hopefully, at least because I threw all my sheets away where I was crossing guys off. So I need the draft room.
Yeah, great.
But yeah, no, it's good. Any final thoughts before we sign off?
No, I think we touched on everything. I liked how your team shaping out so far, and yeah, thought it was really fun. Can't wait to start back up. Hopefully October 30 something, I would imagine. November 1st, something like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember when they opened back up last year. I'm pretty sure they opened up.
I think it's
before
after the World Series.
I think they opened before the end of the World Series last year.
Really? Okay.
I don't know. Well, whatever. We'll find out. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I love this draft every year. Um, just the suspense and not knowing where anybody's going and who's taking who, and it's great. Like, the DCs in the regular season are great because you got the ADP. They kind of a lot of the 150 DCs go as the ADP goes. So you kind of know who you can get and target your guys and get your guys. Whereas this one, it's like the wild, wild west. You just have no idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's good stuff. So I think we'll end it right there. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We will probably be back with basketball for a few shows in, I don't know, probably about a month or so, right before the season starts. There's not really too much to go over with basketball, so
cram some episodes in.
Yeah, not quite as in depth as baseball. So yeah, we'll be back with a couple basketball episodes, and then we'll once the draft room opens back up, we're going to be back into baseball full time.
Oh yeah, live drafts and everything.
Yep, live streams, gladiator streams. We're going to do it all. So
oh yeah,
good stuff. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.